It is the summer of 2021, and the world is still feeling the impacts of the global pandemic. As you already know, over the past year, millions of people all across the world have died, and many more have lost their jobs. The shutdowns, both directly and indirectly, caused depression, anxiety, and impacted human health and well-being in many different ways. People have struggled to put food on the table, suffered from drug addiction, or have become obese from lack of exercise. The good news is that the end is in sight with the vaccine rollout, at least for those who are fortunate enough to have access to the vaccine. In some lucky places in the world, life seems like it is already back to normal. But chances are that the pandemic will not have completely passed for quite some time. The global economic and social impacts of the virus will last way longer than the pandemic itself. So in the meantime, we need to work on improving our lives at the individual level. And I believe that people all across the world need help with this more than any other point in my lifetime. Now, I believe that there is something out there that can help everyone. It's not necessarily a cure for a disease, and no guarantee for anything, but it is bound to help. And for some people, it could potentially transform their lives. It is all around us. It is where we came from. It is a part of us, and we are a part of it. It's something that we take for granted all too often. It's nature. I believe that if you embrace, explore, and learn about nature, it will improve your life. So in this video, I will explain how exploring nature will improve your life in 7 different ways.
I can hear your voice.
First, I just want to note that the 7 areas of your life that I have used to classify how nature can improve your life are closely intertwined with each other. Improving one area of your life may help you in another area of your life. For example, your physical health impacts your mental health and vice versa. So as we go through these, it is important to note that exploring nature can improve your life both directly and indirectly. So let's get into it. The first aspect of your life that nature can improve is your mental health. Your mental health is critical for success in all other aspects of your life. For example, if you are depressed, you may not treat others like you normally do, which could negatively impact your social life. If you are anxious, you may not sleep well, and a lack of sleep can negatively impact how you perform at work or in school. There have been countless studies that have shown that spending time in nature, whether it is in the wilderness or an urban park, can have positive impacts on your mental health. There have even been studies suggesting that something as specific as the observation of birds can alleviate depression. I personally engage in the hobby of bird watching, which I believe is responsible for a large part of my mental wellness. In fact, I have made many videos about bird watching on this channel, so in case you are interested, you can go check them out on this playlist on the top of the screen.
Something's gotta change.
I don't know why exactly being in nature or observing birds gives me or anyone else such a relaxing feeling. Perhaps we have an innate affinity to nature that is rooted in our genetics, a theory that some scientists have labeled as biophilia. Maybe this is an adaptation due to natural selection that came about during our long evolutionary history that helps us recognize the value of nature and other living organisms in order to increase our chances of survival in certain situations. But this mechanistic explanation only adds credibility, because whether it is hiking or engaging in another outdoor sport or something as peculiar as bird watching, spending time in nature is guaranteed to put your mind in a better place. Aspect of your life that spending time in nature may help you with is your physical health. The most obvious way is the physical activity that you might engage in, because of course outdoor sports like hiking, rock climbing, mountain biking, skiing, or whatever other activity will help keep you physically fit. But exercise is only one part of what keeps you healthy. Another major part is your diet. I cannot speak for everyone, but in my experience, spending time in nature has indirectly helped me eat a healthier diet. This has happened in two ways. First, spending time in nature has made me more of a science nerd. While I have a science background and I love observing nature to begin with, spending more time in nature has only led me to think more like a scientist. While in nature, I constantly look for patterns and trends in my surroundings. I wonder why things look the way they do, and I love to make hypotheses. My time in nature and the development of my scientific mind has led me to enjoy recording and analyzing data. And the data that I track the most are the birds that I see. This scientific mindset has opened up my mind to tracking the food that I eat and the nutrients that I ingest on a daily basis, and also analyze how my diet impacts my own physical well-being. The other way that my time in nature has helped me eat more healthily is a bit more straightforward. Spending time in nature has made me more aware of the health of the planet. While it is not always the case, many times foods that are healthier for you are also healthier for the planet. By getting into the habit of researching where your food comes from, you can become more aware of how your food impacts the environment. With this way of thinking, you may also become aware of how that food impacts your own personal health. And of course, part of keeping your body healthy is not abusing drugs and alcohol. Spending time in nature will make it less likely that you engage in these behaviors and will not only help your physical health, but also help many other aspects of your life. When I am in nature, the last thing I need is drugs or alcohol, because I experience a natural high that any type of drug could never give me. The next aspect of your life that nature can improve is your artistic mindset. Studies have suggested that your creative inspiration will more likely increase when spending time outside. Many people believe that drugs can help their creativity. But for me, like I said earlier, nature is my drug. I'm not sure why, but I definitely find myself thinking about new things in different ways than I ever had before while spending time in nature. Nature may help you when you are trying to think outside of the box, whether it is how to operate your business or how to solve something as massive as world poverty, or something as simple as which exact way you should hang a curtain in your living room. So let nature inspire your creativity and embrace yourself as an artist. And there are infinite ways that you can create art from nature. One way that I am an artist of nature is making videos like this one. But maybe the easiest way is recording nature content with your phone. While social media may have both positive and negative impacts on the individual, maybe one of the most positive things you could post on social media is a nature photo. In the year 2021, it is so easy to do, and spreading the love of nature is good for everyone. The next way that exploring nature can help improve your life is improving your intellect. Like I previously said, my time in nature has led me to think more like a scientist and has spurred my curiosity. Learning about the complexities of the natural world has also opened up my mind to learning more about the complexities of the human world as well. For all aspects of your personal success, however you define success, it is important to understand how the world works. One benefit of being more knowledgeable about both the natural world and the human world is that you might simply sound smarter when you talk to other people. Now, you might think that if you know way more about the fine details of a subject than the average person, you might be perceived in a negative way as a nerd or a social outcast. And while some of your peers might mock you for this during your teenage youth, in the long run, the opposite is true. It may sound shallow, but if you appear more intellectual in other people's perceptions, it will help you in all sorts of ways. And talking about your intellect brings me to the next way that nature can help you, which is your professional life. As I previously said, exploring nature will help you more intellectually and will also improve your mental state, both of which will help you professionally. Taking a break from work for a nature walk allows you to clear your mind and relax so that you can be more efficient when you return to work. For most people, viewing the surrounding flora and fauna with all its gorgeous patterns, colors, and forms is an experience filled with thoughts of peace and harmony. But as I explore nature, I like to think a bit deeper than that. And I know that the natural world, in many ways, is far from peaceful. On a walk in the woods, I am reminded of how a community of organisms truly functions. The beautiful colors and shapes in nature that bring you peace and harmony, in reality, came about because of the opposite of peace and harmony, and that is natural selection. In nature, everything is about surviving long enough to pass your genes on to the next generation. Natural selection is an emotionless, merciless, and brutal force that has no sympathy for what an organism feels. In nature, everything is a competition at various levels. Individuals of populations compete with each other for anything from food to the highest quality mates, and species compete with each other for niche occupation of resources and habitats. In nature, if you are not good enough, your genes will not be passed on. You are either a winner or a loser. Now, in the modern human world, the blade of natural selection has been dulled because it's not really that hard anymore to pass your genes on. But when I am exploring nature, I'm reminded that I am only a highly sophisticated wild animal, and that life is indeed a competition. The more you explore nature, the more you will understand it scientifically, and the more you will understand the dynamics of natural selection and the significance of competition. No matter what you choose to do professionally, you will have more success the more competitive you are. So you should envision yourself as an organism competing against others under an imagined sharp blade of natural selection. You must be ruthless, and you should not be sorry for your success. my view, competition is the greatest thing that ever happened to us. In the ecological world, it is responsible for the evolutionary masterpiece of the Earth's immense biological diversity and therefore natural beauty. And in the human world, it is responsible for the technological innovation that allows us to live in the greatest era in human history overall, even with a pandemic. The next way that exploring nature can help you is through your social life. Spending time alone in the wild and learning about nature will only help you strengthen your ties with friends and family and make you a more sociable person. First, relationships function best when there is reflection, and spending time by yourself allows you time to reflect on your relationships. Also, if you spend time in nature with a small group of people, you may more closely bond with those people and strengthen those relationships. But again, I am a scientist, and for me, exploring nature reminds me of the importance of the group in the context of natural selection. Earlier, I made an emphasis on the significance of the individual in the context of natural selection, arguing that you should be ruthless when competing with other individuals. But while natural selection certainly operates at the individual level, it also operates at the group level, in which groups of organisms compete with each other. So the more successfully a group competes against other groups, the more likely the individuals of that successful group will pass their genes on to the next generation. Although I do believe it is necessary to be ruthlessly competitive as an individual, I also recognize the importance of altruism because of the group. Many species of organisms have evolved altruistic behavior towards other members within a group due to different reasons. One possibility is reciprocity. If an organism acts altruistically towards others in a group, it may be more likely that that altruistic behavior will be returned in the future. Another possibility is kinship. If an organism acts altruistic towards others in a group that are closely related by kin, that organism is more likely to increase the reproductive success of others who share some of the same genes. So even if that organism does not reproduce, it can still indirectly make it more likely that some of its genes are passed on to the next generation. An extreme example of this can be seen in some species of ants, where many males in an ant colony are born sterile, and their only job is to protect and contribute to the reproductive success of the female queen ant. The queen is the only one who reproduces, and she shares a portion of her genes with all of the sterile males. In this case, the only way the sterile males can contribute to the transmission of their genes to the next generation is by behaving altruistically. There are also countless other reasons why many organisms exhibit group behavior, such as resource consumption efficiency, predator defense, and making it easier to find other mates. Whenever I explore nature, I am bound to witness group behavior, whether it is a flock of birds or a synchronized bloom of flowers. I am reminded that humans are also a social species and that we are highly dependent on group behavior. The more I think about myself as part of a group in an evolutionary context, the more self-aware I become when interacting with other people, which strengthens my relationships with my family and friends. The last way that exploring nature can help you that I will cover in this video is by strengthening your faith or spiritual health. As I said before, Spending time in nature alone allows you time to reflect on anything. Maybe you can use this time to reflect on your faith or whatever type of religion or spirituality you engage in. In many religions, nature is viewed as an entity created by some type of divine power. Maybe you believe a divine power created the earth for you to enjoy, or maybe you believe that the earth was created for you to give joy to it. If your case is either of these cases, a walk in the woods will allow you to appreciate nature as this creation. Or maybe you don't believe the world was created by anything. Whatever you believe or don't believe, I believe that it is important to have faith in some way, to be able to hold on to something throughout both hard and easy times, which has been especially relevant during the pandemic. Throughout my whole life, exploring nature has brought me closer to my faith. But at the same time, as I have already said, exploring nature has also made me more of a scientist. It might seem counterintuitive to some people, but being more of a scientist has actually brought me closer to the higher power that I believe created our universe. And my thought process is as follows. Science is the systematic study of the universe using empirical data. Before science, religious and spiritual beliefs, which I will collectively label as the supernatural, were the only ways to explain the unexplainable. But now our bank of scientific knowledge is infinitely expanding and is now able to explain many things that previously only the supernatural could explain. Science may directly contradict the statements of many religious texts and spiritual resumes in a literal sense. But because science is forever expanding, it will never be able to explain everything about our universe. There will always be something left to open interpretation.
Are we down before we even started?
I see science as a curve, asymptotic to a line of the supernatural. In my view, science will never actually be able to touch the supernatural. Science can come infinitely close to uncovering the absolute truth of the universe that the supernatural explains. But again, science will never actually be able to uncover everything. So I figure I might as well fill in that gap with my faith. While I do not take the writing in religious texts in a literal sense, I view it as helpful in a metaphorical way. I believe in a higher power, and I am not sure what exactly it is, but I believe that it is there, looking out for me and looking out for all of us. In this way, exploring nature has made me more faithful. To quickly review, nature can help you mentally, physically, artistically, intellectually, professionally, socially, and spiritually. For me, nature serves as my recreational drug, my medicinal drug, my gym, my classroom, my church, and my compass. Nature has an enormous tangible value for society at a larger scale, such as the economic benefits in ecosystem services, biodiversity, and other natural resources. But hopefully this video reminded you that nature has a priceless value at the individual level. I must also note that if we want nature to help us in our personal lives, we need to help nature. The Earth is currently undergoing an ecological crisis that may have been put on the back burner because of the pandemic. All of the benefits that nature can provide us on the personal level, such as a healthy mental and physical state, a higher level of creativity, a high degree of intellect, a competitive drive to innovate, healthy social ties, and a strong sense of faith, are all things that we need to harness in order to save the Earth. It is a symbiotic relationship with a positive feedback loop that will be reinforced the more time that you spend in nature. So get out into nature and let it help you in any way possible. The last thing I will say is that you will not maximize your personal benefit from nature by only spending time in nature. You should also make an effort to learn about and analyze your natural surroundings. You should essentially become a scientist for fun. And that is the point of my YouTube channel. I teach you how to be a recreational biologist. For example, I teach you how to find, document, and analyze the amazing wildlife that we share our planet with. So if you are interested, feel free to subscribe. And by the way, just to introduce myself, my name is Eddie. I am a former professional biologist, a law student, and I'm fascinated with nature. Thank you for watching and have a great day.